Hello BookTube, Emmy Walker here to do a compilation of my series books in honor of the release for my third and final book in my trilogy, the Untitled Trilogy, which came out today, June 21st. I figured I would do a little something different here and go into all of the series that I've purchased or read or started reading. I'll break it up into I have 4 different groups, but I figured I would show you all those books. So I actually broke it up into 5 different groups of, I think there's 46 series, I believe, including my own series. Oddly enough, I don't have all of my books at the moment, just due to giveaways and other, lending of my books. I don't have all copies of my books, so I did, create a picture to at least show you the covers of my books, just, so here is that picture, and aren't they lovely? I know none of them match, and for some reason I kind of like that. None of them have the same color, but, whatever. Anyway, my favorite is the Conquest. It's very simple, just the sword. But yeah, so I'm not even going to bother mentioning the series that I've completed or started to purchase but haven't actually even bothered reading. I feel like I should have at least read one of every one of these books. Hopefully I've read the majority of most of these in the series. I try not to buy a whole series. I've been burned by that before, but sadly I still end up buying whole series even before I start the series itself, so, bad Megan. But sometimes they just look so good, I just know I'll love it. This first group is going to be series that I've completed by purchasing, and I've also read all of the completed books. In no particular order, we'll go with Harry Potter by J.K. Rowling, the Lord of the Rings trilogy plus The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. I have finished all 3 of these books plus The Hobbit. I figured I'd throw that in there even though it's not part of the trilogy. The Twilight Saga by Stephanie Meyer, the Mortal Instruments series by Cassandra Clare. I'm missing City of Lost Souls, it's on loan with my sister. And the Infernal Devices series by Cassandra Clare. The Maze Runner trilogy by James Dashner. I'm including the Kill Order in this, not part of the trilogy, and I actually haven't read this one yet, but I'm still including it in this group because I read the original trilogy and I own all the books. The Ascendance trilogy by Jennifer A. Nielsen. And the Lioness Quartet by Tamra Pierce. The next group is going to be books that I have completed the entire series by purchasing, but I have not actually read the entire series. The All Souls trilogy by Deborah Harkness. I've read A Discovery of Witches and Shadow of Night, but I have not read Book of Life yet. The Vampire Chronicles by Anne Rice. I've only read the first 2, The Interview with the Vampire and The Vampire Lestat. I have not read the rest of these, and I'm probably holding them all in the wrong order, so I'm sorry. The Precious Stones trilogy by Kirsten Gear. I've read Ruby Red and Sapphire Blue, but not Emerald Green. The Chronicles of Narnia by C.S. Lewis. I have finished The Magician's Nephew and The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, but not the other 5. The Serafina duology, which I believe is going to be a duology by Rachel Hartman, and I finished Serafina, but not Shadowscale. The Eon duology by Alison Goodman. I finished Eon, not Eona. The His Dark Materials by Philip Pullman. I finished The Golden Compass, but not the last 2. This next group is going to include the series that I have completed up to this point, and have read up to this point, but there are still books to be printed in the future. We'll start with A Song of Ice and Fire series by George R.R. Martin. The first 2 books are on loan with my sister, so I do not have them at the moment, but I have finished all 5 of them, of the ones that have come out. The Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Meyer. I'm including Fairest in the picture here because I own it, but I have not read it, and I'm still considering that I have read the whole series because it's technically a companion novel and not part of the series, so I don't even have to ever read it to understand everything, so, that's that. The Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas. My sister has the first 3 books. I only have The Assassin's Blade at the moment, which I also have not read, but again, it's not a part of the actual series, so I'm not, gonna fault myself for not having read this one yet, but I'm still including it in the ones that I've read all of up to this point. The I Am Number 4 series, or the Lorien Legacies, whatever you want to call it, by Pittacus Lore. It says on the books themselves, the I Am Number 4 series, so I typically call it the I Am Number 4 series, but whatever. I am currently missing the 5th book, which is something of 7, I think. My sister is borrowing it. Then I have the Falling Kingdom series by Morgan Rhodes, which I obviously don't have my books because, you guessed it, my sister is borrowing them. And I have read all of them up to this point. I think there's 3 out, yes. Alright, so I lied a little bit. This last group has actually been series that I've completed purchasing that have all been published up to this point, but I have not necessarily completed reading all of them up to this point. Oops, sorry. As you can see by the Elemental Trilogy by Sherry Thomas. I have finished the Burning Sky, but not the Perilous Sky. A Darker Shade of Magic trilogy by V.E. Schwab. This is the first book in the trilogy. There are supposed to be 3 of them, I'm told, and this one just came out, last month or so it'll be a while before the rest of the series out, but I have read this one. The Dorothy Must Die trilogy by Danielle Page. There's still a 3rd book to come out, and I've only finished the 1st book, still have to read The Wicked Will Rise. The Red Queen trilogy by Victoria Aveyard. This is the 1st book and just came out very recently, so it will probably be a while before the next 2 come out, but I have finished this book, and it is the only one that's out currently. An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir. I'm told this is also going to be a trilogy. This is the 1st book that just came out very recently, so it'll be a while before the others come out. The Sin Eater's Daughter by Melinda Salisbury. Again, I'm hearing this is going to be a trilogy, and this is the 1st book and it just came out recently, so it'll be a while, but I have read it. This next group is going to be books that I've only partially purchased, or I no longer own because I sold them back, or I gave them away to friends or whatever, but I have read the entire series. First is the Percy Jackson and the Olympian series by Rick Riordan, and I read all 5 of these books, but I only own the first one. I had to borrow the other 4 from my sister. I do intend to purchase them eventually, but I don't know if I'll ever reread them, so I don't know how long it'll be before I complete the actual books purchased. The Fablehaven series by Brandon Moll. I've read all 5, but I only own the first 4. These last 4 series collections I no longer own, but I have read them all. The first is the Shadow Falls trilogy, who I cannot remember the author, but I will write it down here so that you all can see. Next is the Match trilogy by Ali Condie. The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. And finally, the Trylle trilogy by Amanda Hocking. And the final group is going to be book series that I have not completed the entire series by purchasing and have also not completed reading. So the best group, obviously. First up is The Inheritance Cycle by Christopher Paolini, and I've read Aragon, but I have not read the last 3, and the final book is, I believe, called Inheritance. This next one I actually forgot that I no longer own any of the copies. I sold them back recently, but we'll just tack it on in this group anyway, and that is the Suki Stackhouse novels by Charlaine Harris, and I read all of them except for the 13th and final book, so I need to get on that because, I invested a lot of time in that series. The Elemental series by Bridget Kemmerer. I, at one point or another, owned all of them, and I still have the one on my Kindle, clearly, but I have not finished the final book, nor do I own the final book, which I believe is called Sacrifice. The Giver Quartet by Lois Lowry. I own the first 2, and I have read the first one. The Monstrumologist series by Rick Yancey. I own the first 3, obviously not the 4th, and I've only read the first one. The Crestomancy Chronicles by Diana Wynne Jones. I believe there are 6 total, and I own the first 4 in this one, and then book number 6. I'm missing number 5, I believe, and I've read 2 of them, not necessarily in the correct order. I don't think you have to read them in the correct order. The Secrets of the Immortal Nicholas Flamel series by Michael Scott. I'm pretty sure there's 6 of them. I could have all 5 of them for all I know right now, but I've only read the first 2. The Last Apprentice or Wardstone Chronicles by Joseph Delaney. I own books 1, 2, 5, 6, and 13, and I've read books 1 and 2. The 13th Reality series by James Dashner. I'm not actually sure how many books are going to be in the series or that are in the series, but I've only read book 1. The How to Train Your Dragon series by Cressidia Cowell, and I've read books 1 through 3. The Raven Cycle by Maggie Stiefvater, which I own and read book 1, but the others I do not and have not. And last but not least, the Merlin series by T.A. Barron. I read the first one and I own like a random assortment of them, but I'm slowly collecting them all. So there you have all of my series that I've either completed all of and read all of, or started purchasing and started reading, or whatever. Let me know what you thought of the video, if you've read any of the series that I have not yet finished, and tell me to, get on the rest of them sooner rather than later, or if there are other series that I have not even mentioned that you think I should pick up, or if you thought this video was just completely boring and you never want to see me do it again. Let me know either way. Again, I did this to honor the release of my 3rd and final book in the Faisyoren trilogy, which is The Conquest by me, Emmy Walker, and it's available on Amazon. So, go check it out, and if you haven't read the first 2, pick those up first because you'll be pretty lost without them. Alrighty, don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and I will see you later, BookTube!